Hey, so I am working on immune systems uh, disorders in adults for a particular client, and we're just trying to nail down what might be a listing level impairment for him. Um, because as you know, there are two ways to get to disabled. There is the listing level, and there is the long version, which is the RFC, residual functional capacity battle. So obviously, when there's a potential listing to be argued for, we look for that first. So it's under 14.00 under the Social Security listings for adults. And I'm not going to go into too much detail, but just so you know, like under 14.00, they're going to give you the broad explanation of what kind of things they will consider to be immune system disorders of a listing level. But if you want to get to specifics, and we see not too light of these, we see quite a few of these. 14.02 is lupus, systemic lupus erythematosus. You know, the lupus family gets a little broad, but if you have any version of that, I would think you would want to look there and see if your criteria falls within the details required for a listing. And again, if it doesn't, you could still try to make the argument, and this is the way most people, in my opinion, tend to prevail, is with an RFC, residual functional capacity, that does not allow for any jobs to be performed full-time on a sustained basis as required under the disability rules on a full-time basis. So that is the longer battle. That's where we have to prove what you can and cannot do during your day. And we want to find details that lend itself to that finding in the medical records, because what we claim will not necessarily be taken to heart, what you say or what I say. Okay, so going forward, 14.03 is systemic vasculitis. That can be a big one that affects a lot of walking and being able to be on your feet. And a lot of care for, oftentimes it's the legs we see. Then there's systemic sclerosis, like scleroderma, big, 14.04. I don't see a lot of that. I see some of that. Definitely the ones above, I see more. I have this now. I don't personally have it. I'm working on it right now with someone else. Polymyositis, 14.05, and dermatomyositis. And that's the one we are working on now. That's 14.05. 14.06, undifferentiated and mixed connective tissue disease. That's broad. And again, we see so many of these kind of disorders. It's really prevalent. I don't know if it's a time of, a sign of our age in terms of the era we live in now, or it's just that these things are discovered and now have diagnoses. Don't know. Then we have immune deficiency orders, and this is excluding HIV infection. And that's 14.07. 14.08 is reserved. I guess they're going to find something to stick in there in time. 14.09, very common inflammatory arthritis. I have another one of those. 14.10, Sjogrens syndrome. If that is a biggie for you, if you even have it, but you have other things that you think are more prevalent, don't take it lightly. You might, if your doctors think that your Sjogren's is meeting the criteria that are in here, and you might want to show it to them, that could be the thing that you prevail on. Obviously, the severity is going to be important, and that's what the listing is about. It's about severe cases of these things. So not everyone who has any one of these disorders is going to be found necessarily disabled, because oftentimes we have these and we work for years and years after. So this is when it comes to a point where certain more objective criteria is met, and that's described really in detail under each listing. We mentioned the autoimmune, the immune deficiency disorder excluding HIV under 14.07. Under 14.11, you'll find the HIV infection, the human immunodeficiency virus infection. And again, many, if not most people with HIV are able to work and are well treated. But that's not always the case. And sometimes it does deteriorate to where one cannot work. So those listings are super, super important. And again, immune system disorders under 14 are so prevalent. I mean, I feel like even my cases that would not be listing level, there is a lot of diagnoses of this stuff in people that are disabled and not disabled. So you definitely want to look to see if you have one of these, if it might actually meet a listing, even though you're thinking it's overlaid with something else that might be more, maybe you treat for more because there's more that can be done. It doesn't necessarily mean that your immune system disorder is not at disabling level. The doctors don't really go into that so much. So it's something you almost have to proactively go for in terms of proving. So anyway, I just wanted to share with you those, that section of the adult listings, 14.00 immune system disorders and all of the various specific disorders within that whole section. Okay. For any of you that have it, I hope it helps. And you know where to reach me if you need me. Bye now.